man. Welcome to the show. I definitely appreciate you.
Of course, man. No problem, man. I appreciate you inviting me, bro.
All right, I see you making moves. I know you. We got about 30 minutes to go, so we're gonna go ahead and get it started. Man, for the viewers who may not recognize you, man, let them know who you are and definitely where you from.
Mo Hill. I'm a comedian out of Ohio. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, but I live in Columbus, Ohio. I'm also from Columbus, Ohio, so I say Cleveland by way of Columbus.
That's what's up, man. I'm from the 216 as well. You definitely representing, man.
I appreciate it, bro. I appreciate it.
That's what's up. Shout out to the whole state, Columbus too, man.
Yeah,
Let me see. Now I can ask you this: like, what was your earliest like memories of comedy? Because obviously you got a passion for it, you know.
yeah. My earliest memories, when I was a kid, man, growing up, man, I've always had a big sense of humor, and some of my family members were very goofy, like fun, sense of humor type people. But when I was a kid, man, I used to watch a lot of Comic View. I watched a lot. My mom used to have the original Medea DVDs. I grew up on Martin. Like Martin, I always attribute Martin to my sense of humor. When I was young, man, from as far as I can remember, man, watching Martin, watching Comic View, Def Comedy Jam, and um, so I was in Apollo. I watched a lot of Apollo. Late night at the Apollo. I used to watch that growing up because I used to stay up late all the time during the weekends and stuff. So I was introduced to comedy at a young age, and I always was fascinated by it. So I just watched it so young, and it's kind of where I started it, and then I just kind of kept perpetuating my love for comedy as I got older.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Because I remember when I was young. I don't know how old you are, but my brothers and my father they used to watch a lot of Eddie Murphy Raw, and
Yeah,
Living Color, and Hollywood Shuffle, and even Def Jam. And I remember watching that.
yeah,
See, now do you have like any favorites, like as far as old school comedians that influenced you stand up?
yeah, man. Definitely, I would say as far as old school comedians go, from at that time, Tony Roberts actually is my like LeBron James of comedy. I've been saying that since I was a kid, man. So Tony Roberts, um, definitely like Richard Pryor is like the Michael Jordan of comedy for me. He's just like my all time favorite. But people that I watched consistently growing up that I remember specifically was like Talent, Tony Roberts, Toure, some more, Monique. Who else, man? Bernie. Bernie is like he's on my Mount Rushmore comics too. Bernie, um, man, just a lot of '90s comics. Just Jamie Foxx, um, Sinbad, like all these Martin, um, Bill Bellamy, like these are all the comics that like I remember watching and them having like the biggest impression on me. Steve Harvey, said all the man, all those bigger headliners now, Earthquake, all those dudes were the dudes I was watching growing up, man. I literally remember being 10, 11 years old watching these cats, man. So those are some of the comics that really influenced me growing up for sure.
That's what's up, man. You named some giants. Big shout out to all of them.
Yeah.
Uh, Now let me see. Now when did you actually feel like, what I'm saying, like I want to be a comedian? Was you like doing it in middle school and high school, or was it something you got into in college or as an adult?
Subconsciously, I've been doing it since I was a kid, man. Like just growing up, I was always cracking jokes, roasting. Me and my cousins just always had a big sense of humor. I was having roasting sessions with teachers. I was a functioning class clown for real. Like I did all my work and I was a good kid. I never got in trouble. But at the same time, like anybody could get these jokes. Like that was just how I was growing up. So it's kind of something that was already like instilled in me. I just didn't know what it was and what to do with it until college. I just kind of was like, all right, what do I really want to do with my life? And I was like, I definitely didn't want to work for somebody the rest of my life, but I also wanted to do something where I was able to use a part of my personality so it never felt like work. And I didn't know what that was. I just kind of had always had that instilled in me. So I looked up improv classes. Actually, I knew I wanted to make people laugh. I just didn't know how. I didn't know nothing about stand up, about improv comedy, none of that stuff. So I found an improv theater to join in Dayton, Ohio when I was in college. I did improv comedy for probably about like 7 or 8 years. So I was an improv comedian for a long time. That's where I really got my starters through improv comedy. And then I transitioned to stand up probably about 5, 6 years ago, probably about 4 or 5 years ago. So I already had the experience with being a comedian, but obviously transition to stand up is a little different. So definitely in college when I officially started doing it, and I started taking it serious like maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
That's what's up, man. I see you climbing. Just keep on doing what you do. Now I can
Right.
ask you, like, what is the difference like between being on the stage and doing stand up, but then you got like social media? It seemed like you able to kind of utilize both of them. Do you have a preference?
I mean, obviously, I want to be known and respected as a stand-up. Social media and influencer stuff is a means to an end for me, and it's more being utilized for the audience standpoint. It's just another way for me to reach more people outside of doing like the grind and being on the circuit for 10 years. Social media kind of created a shortcut to be able to gain an audience. Now, it's no shortcut to you being funny, but it allows you to maintain some type of audience to like help bridge that gap from you, because a lot of these comics, man, they ain't start getting audiences or people following them or showing up to their shows in different cities, and because they've been on the road headlining for 10, 15, 20 plus years. And now that social media is into play, we don't have to do that as much. You see a lot of these cast that came through the social media circuit, so to speak, it's selling out and doing tours now. You know what I'm saying? So um the social media thing is definitely has a ceiling. Like, I'm looking forward to the day where I don't have to do it and I can just go to shows and do other things, because it is a very time consuming thing. But um, I definitely would rather, if I could just focus on stand up, that would be what I would do.
I can dig it. I can dig it. From the outside looking in, it seems like being a comedian is like one of the toughest jobs in the world. Like, not saying that you wouldn't enjoy it, but I mean, it's hard to make a crowd of people that you don't know laugh, especially you go from one city to the next city. What do you feel like is the biggest challenge as far as being a comedian?
Just exactly what you said, bro. Every time you get on stage, you got to make a bunch of strangers laugh. And as a black comedian, it's even harder, because you got to have, in order for you to really get to that certain level of, I guess you could say, upper echelon without having to wait 20 and 30 years to get there, like some of our peers, you got to be able to cross over. White comics don't have to cross over. They can just stay over there and make white people laugh if they really wanted to. Whereas if we want to go mainstream, we got to be able to make white people and black people laugh. So it's like, and obviously those are two very different crowds. So it's a different skill set that you have to develop as a black comedian in this world, because obviously, like I said, the cultures are very different, but more importantly, um, it's the craft itself. Outside of just crowds or whatever, it doesn't matter if you're making white people or black people laugh. The craft itself and being able to construct jokes like individually, coming up with a set, like a 5 minute set, 10 minute, 15, 20, 30 minute set. That's one. It's a set, it's formed, it's like developed, and then also that it's strong. Like, bro, that's tough. People, a lot of jokes take a long time to develop. I mean, some people could see some of these headliners and they see jokes that they've probably been doing for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, sometimes 5 years. Like, jokes really take a long time to get to that place in some instances. So I think the hardest thing is really developing an act, and then finding your voice is very, very tough, because it's not like you get to repeat. If you're in football practice, you get to just do the same play over and over until you memorize it, right? Like, and then you just call the play in front of different defenses. Where it's like stand up, you basically trying out the same play, but you don't, in football or basketball, you might play that team again. In comedy, no. It's not going to be the same 350 people that, if you go back to that city, it's going to be a whole different 350 people, or however many people come see you. So it's not like you could really get away with too much. You know what I mean? So,